Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Shard and welcome to Future CX. I assure you, we are actually at the Shard, and out of the window, there is a glorious view somewhere amongst the smog of Tower Bridge, St. Paul's, and the sides of London. So hopefully at some point that clears and we can enjoy that view. My name's Stuart Banbery. I'm the Marketing Director at Orlo. What you've just seen on the screen behind me is our vision for the future of customer experience and marketing and online digital engagement. Around 12 months ago now, we were looking for an event that we could take part in, sponsor, speak at, where we could share our vision for the future of online customer experience and where brands use meaningful human engagement and connection to drive really clear, powerful ROI. And we couldn't actually find one. So we went and we created our own, and what you're at this morning is the very first Future CX. So please enjoy it, give us your feedback afterwards, and we're already planning an even bigger and better series of events next year. We've planned this event today to feature some of the biggest, most innovative brands and most inspiring speakers that we are all familiar with, so all of those household names that we're all intrigued to see behind the scenes. What do they do? How do they operate? What does their customer service department look like? What do their marketing campaigns and their strategies look like? And that's what we've assembled for you here today. So they're going to talk about how they created market-leading customer service strategies and marketing campaigns that really cut through the noise of that competitive, saturated online environment. Whatever you see today, please do get involved in the conversation. We've created a hashtag for today's event. You can see it on the screen at the moment, which is OrloFCX. So whatever you see, please do get involved in the debate. Share your thoughts on what you see and what you hear this morning, and hopefully you all go away with bags and bags of ideas and inspiration that you can take back to the office tomorrow or this afternoon, if you are going back this afternoon and not going Christmas shopping on Oxford Street, and start applying some of those ideas straight away, or to build into your strategies for 2019. First up, I'd like to just thank our event partners this morning. So we've got Trevor at the back in the white shirt and his team from the UK Contact Centre Forum. We do a lot of events with Trevor and his team. They put on some fantastic awards programs, social media sessions, all different types of workshops. So do grab a coffee with Trevor during the break and find out more about what he offers. And also the guys from Comms 2.0 who work predominantly in the public sector to drive best practice through consultancies, workshops, research, and again, awards and event programs. So let's take a quick look at the agenda for this morning. As you can see, a real diverse mixed bag of brands, which is very much the thinking for today, because I think a lot of us kind of know what's going on in our own sector. So if we can break out of that, if we can network and speak to people in different categories, different sectors, we can take those ideas and apply them quite often back to our own industry as well. So I'm going to give a quick introduction this morning and just talk briefly about what we do at Orlo. Our first speaker of the morning is Ocado, who are going to be talking about how they improve customer experience with a channel of choice strategy. That'll be followed by Microsoft, talking and sharing some of the best examples of customer experience throughout the public sector. And before lunch, we've got LinkedIn sharing some of the most successful marketing trends to get you set for 2019. Then we'll be stopping to refuel for some coffee and pastries at 11 till 11:30. And then we'll come back in here at 11:30 once you're all fueled up on caffeine for a high energy session with performance coach, incredible thinkers, to talk about how we can better manage emotion and well-being in ourselves, our colleagues, and our customers. So some themes there that are really high on the agenda at the moment. We're then going to take a look at Thames Water, so one of the UK's biggest utilities companies, and how they use compelling communications and online customer experience to change behaviour and influence the behaviour of their customers. Followed by the Office of the Public Guardian, talking about how you can put the customer at the heart of all of your comms campaigns. And then finally, big finish today, a brand that we're all very familiar with, many of us envious of in terms of their social media presence and online customer experience presence, and that's Virgin Trains, who are going to be sharing some secrets from behind the screens. Then we'll wrap up about 12:50 and finish with some lunch from 1 until 2 o'clock, back in the lobby outside. So just to kick off, one of the quotes that has always stayed with me has come from Maya Angelou, and that is that people don't always remember what you say or even what you do, but they always remember how you made them feel. And the first time I heard that, and it's about 50 or 60 years old now, that quote, but it really kind of resonated with me. I think, whenever we've seen a marketing campaign or had a customer service interaction with a brand, it's very much that kind of the emotion that stays with us afterwards and that leaves that kind of lasting impression and that influences the choices we make around that brand going forward. So I think it's firmly accepted now that, whether we're aware of it or not, that all of our behaviours are driven by emotion. A lot of the research at the moment is looking at this. And I think that's why there's a real focus around that theme of emotion, around customer service and around marketing at the moment, and really the extent that emotion plays within those different elements of business operations. And so that's very much one of the golden threads that is going to be running through the presentations this morning, is how can we use those emotional aspects to really drive forward customer experience and to drive forward our marketing campaigns. And we're going to hear from some of those big household brands about how they're meeting and delighting their customers online in 2018 and 2019. So just to frame today's event and to frame some of the talks we're going to see from our speakers, the customer experience landscape in 2018 is very much driven by the digital economy, and that has reset the balance of power between brands and consumers. So brands now have to operate on consumers' terms predominantly. They need to be there when their consumers want them. They need to be there on the channel of choice for their consumers. And brands don't really have a say in that anymore. And some brands are doing this very well, and they're setting the bar very high in 2018. So the challenge for the rest of us is how can we now step up to the mark and meet those high expectations of our customers. Consumers are adapting to change at a much faster rate than brands are in many cases. And so again, for businesses, they need to adapt to these changing consumer behaviours, changing consumer trends, and I think very much start to become much more customer-centric. So rather than trying to get the customer to adapt to your business operations, maybe sometimes some quite outdated or archaic ways of working, if you can become truly customer-centric and build your business around customer needs and changing customer behaviours, that gives you a much more agile and future-proof and efficient way of working going forward. And of course, the barriers to switching to our favourite brand are pretty much non-existent now. All it takes is one bad customer service interaction and your best customers will be off to your closest competitors down the road. And that's being driven by globalisation, the commoditisation of products and services, and of course, pretty much non-existent barriers to entry to new players, which is obviously increased saturation and competition in all of our markets. So just to kind of drill down onto that theme of emotion, just to kind of understand a bit more the role that it does play across all of our business operations. So a lot of the biggest think tanks and consultancies at the moment are investing hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds, in really understanding this theme of emotion a lot more closely. The Harvard Business Review this year found that 95% of purchase-making decisions are actually driven subconsciously by emotion, so a huge number there. Similarly, Forrester found that when customers are feeling valued and appreciated, 87% of those go on to become advocates, public advocates of our brand, and 74% will remain with our brand and buy more products and services from us in the future. We actually commissioned our own independent piece of research a couple of months ago, which explored this theme across Europe. We surveyed, through an independent partner, we surveyed hundreds of large enterprise organisations just to dig a little deeper on this theme of emotion and find out what some of the key drivers were. We found that actually 86% of large enterprise brands had a real focus on the theme of emotion within their customer experience and their marketing strategies for this year and for next year. So really kind of highlighting the focus now of that within large enterprises. We then dug again a layer deeper, and we found that some of the key triggers which, if you can meet for your customers, will elicit these positive emotions are, firstly, having confidence in you as a brand or a supplier, the simplicity of interactions with you as a brand, and finally, making your customers feel safe and secure. So if you can meet some of these key trigger points, you can very much go on to do some really cool stuff with your customers. But obviously, why does all of this matter? What's the end game here? What are we working towards? Well, I think if we base this on the premise that customer experience and relationships matter to the point of changing behaviours. So if you can create these amazing online experiences and evoke these positive emotions with your customers, you can then go on to begin to influence behaviour on a very large scale with your customer base. And these behaviours can take a variety of different forms. It might be to turn your social media followers or your website visitors into customers. It might be to turn your most satisfied customers into your biggest public advocates and to leave you a great review on TripAdvisor or Google Review. Or it might just be to encourage those that matter to see online as the most efficient way for both them and you to converse online. And there's a number of brands that are doing this really well. We use a lot of these services and apps in our everyday life. And I think digital winners on the digital landscape in 2018 are very much experience-led, but with a deep focus on human behaviour and human understanding. If we take an example, somebody like Google Maps, we all use these every day in our lives, both personally and professionally. And I think one of the real features of these organisations is that they assimilate effortlessly into our lives because they understand what drives us. They understand our basic human needs, which ultimately drives our behaviour. And in terms of Google Maps, anything that can tell me that my favourite pub is closed before I get there and divert me to the closest one is always a winner in my book. So, but if we look at someone like Airbnb, these guys have very much harnessed the power of social communities, and they use this social community to offer flexible, cost-effective accommodation around the world. Spotify and Pinterest, this time looking at the theme of personalisation. So these guys offer a highly personalised way to discover and use their services. And the reason that I chose just 3 or 4 of these examples is because they share very much the same philosophy that we do at Orlo, and that's very much really honing in on the customer needs and building our technology and our business around those changing customer needs rather than those outdated business structures. So our vision at Orlo is that we enable brands to create powerful customer experiences and harness emotional connections with their customers. And you can see a few of the brands that we work with on the screen at the moment. We work with hundreds and hundreds of brands around the world, tens of thousands of users, and all of these are now starting to really engage with their customers online, to be there when their customers need them, both instantly, effectively, meaningfully, create those amazing moments, and then start to influence the behaviour of their customer to meet their ROI or their corporate objectives. At Orlo, we try and practice what we preach around customer experience as well. One of the stats that I always like to mention is the fact that we have a 2-minute response time within our platform. So any customer service agent, any marketing manager using our platform that has a question can hop onto live chat, speak to one of our fantastic customer success team. And because digital channels are so instant, we need to be able to support our customers in the moment as they're supporting their own customers in the moment. So that response time is a really important metric for us. And I think it's from statistics like that enables us to renew over 90% of our customer base year on year. But even more cool than that, and probably my favourite metric, is the fact that of those 90% of customers that renew with us year on year, 85% of those actually go on to buy more products and services with us in year 2 and 3. So that's great to see that those organisations are really driving immediate and sustainable benefit and ROI from some of our apps and solutions.